delicately move my mic without any sudden movements, as not to disconnect anything, which is 90% the reason things happen. All right. We are live. Okay. So that KP's having a quick conversation with the crew. Welcome everybody. Welcome to another live stream with KP and Rhea and myself, JJ Tao. And this stream might be shorter than others, but we'll see how things go because this is a continuation from last week. And for those that haven't watched it, please, I'm quite sure it's still on VOD on all of our Twitch channels where we're talking about care for animals with disabilities. So we're going to be carrying on that conversation, and hopefully you enjoyed. But first of all, KP, I really enjoyed your last video.
Yeah, with the Otter Olympics.
Yes.
we figured that one was going to be a hit. So
it's like I was like, no, put the Otter Olympics. Come on, we have an opportunity. But that was so cute. I mean, all the toys. Now all I see is toys that look like athletic tools or athletic things. that's in my mind now. But no, that was so cool. Taking advantage of that.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, guys, let's go take a look at it. It's actually quite, it's light and humorous. But yeah. So just to recap from the last time, obviously we were talking about animals with disabilities and care. And obviously the first thing that we covered is that there is, in most cases, there isn't a large amount of special treatment, and that most of these animals are quite capable of looking after. But what was fascinating about the specially designed prosthetics that come with some of these animals that have these disabilities, I think they were shown on your side. But so we might recap some things, but we'll just go on with the questions. And Reha is back, so we can read. No, which Georgie was very good as well. It's like we all...
Yeah, thank you, Georgie, for helping out.
Georgie always saves us at the last minute.
But I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I mean, and Georgie has an accent, which is also really
yes,
fun.
It really helps.
It's nice to mix it up every
It's got that producer voice. We're going to take your call now. So we'd like to thank Georgie again.
By the way, I heard that you called me a car salesman, and I just want to bring that up again. How dare you?
I didn't mean it in that term. I'm talking about like in that endearing, that advert voice that you always hear over. Yes, you hear it on when you go to an airport. It's like that as you walk past that advert board. It's your accent basically. They're selling us shampoos and car. Yeah, I use car salesperson because that's not like those raunchy ones, but like there's classy adverts. I'm trying to not dig myself any deeper.
Raunchy car
it
salesman.
Sounds like you're digging very quickly.
Yes,
I think we should just go to the questions and then maybe
let's go straight to the questions, please. Ray, you're up.
All right, our first question for today is: are animals able to recognize that another animal is disabled, and do they react differently with that animal?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I guess that really just kind of depends, I think, on the animal. For the most part, I don't really think that animals treat other animals. I don't really think that animals recognize necessarily that there are that it is like a disability necessarily. I think for them it's just something that's different, potentially about another animal, but not necessarily like in a bad way or in a like in a detrimental way. So I don't really see, I don't really see that happening one way or another. Some animals, though, like one of our harbor seals who can see, will actually go steal fish from our California sea lion who can't see.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't know if that counts. Like he knows that Senor Cinco can't see, and so he's like, well, I'll just sneak in here and grab his fish. It's totally rude. So, I mean, maybe not necessarily. I feel like what somebody wanted me to say was that they really take care of animals that
Yeah.
have a hard time. But it's probably the opposite or just no reaction at all. So, yeah, I don't really see them behaving that differently towards other animals typically with disabilities. But I haven't seen it all, and
Yeah.
each some animals have different types of personalities and stuff like that that might react a little bit differently. But I haven't seen much of it. No.
I think it would also heavily depend on the social structure. I mean, when there are cases like that, it's like elephants, and they're like, but it's a key point. Like, oh my gosh, they do this. The only time I've actually ever seen it with an animal is we have vermit monkeys, and one of them was injured the leg, and it was screaming so loud that literally the monkey came down, grabbed it, and carried it over the wall. But that is a very unique social structure. That is as close to us as we're going to get. I haven't seen it as well anywhere else. Even with
Like, unfortunately too, there's a lot of animals like that, or like lions and stuff like that. Like, if one of their family members are injured and making a lot of noise like that, they'll actually kill them, unfortunately, because it's
Survival of the
really it's
fittest.
putting everybody in danger when somebody's making a lot of racket like that. So it's a good question. I don't know that, like, not in the sense of like really benevolence usually, but animals can usually tell if something's different, but usually they don't really seem to care one way or another. They don't discriminate, that's for sure.
Oh, that's good. I think the only time, so just ending off, I think the only time that animals really notice another animal's interested is if it's a predator hunting. Then it's like, ooh, that one's slower.
Oh, definitely.
It's like, let's
Yeah,
go for that.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
maybe there's some sort of awareness. But as you said, maybe that, like, an otter's like, man, I don't care. Well, we know it's going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
But yeah, next question.
Our next question is, have there ever been disabled penguins at the aquarium?
Oh.
Oh, wow.
I mean, no, not in like the truest sense of the word, although we have Hope, who obviously has some feather issues. And we've actually been debating getting her a little vest to wear to keep her warm in the wintertime. I really hope that we do. But yeah, no, not really. Our penguins have always been pretty healthy, and we haven't really had too many issues. But birds are another one of those animals. Whenever they see like weakness, like whenever we have had an animal that's like, maybe just like not feeling well on the day or whatever, they'll actually just attack each other. Like, they're pretty ruthless. Because out in the ocean, that would be drawing the attention of predators, and they don't want that. But yeah, so birds are one of those that would rather not have like, if you wouldn't want to be a disabled penguin, because they would come for you. Like, they are not a nice creature, at least not African penguins anyway.
Hey, that's possibly true.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, if you get a vest, I hope to see it in every second social media post from all the trainers and yourself forever during
I'll
that
probably
time.
just I'll put it like somewhere in all of my posts. Like, it'll just be like a fun little cameo, and you'll have to find it. Like, where is Hope in her vest?
Spot the hope.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Someone was asking, I don't know if this is related. Sorry, I'm very weak on the backstory here. They're asking, I'm very interested in Wally's story and how he interacted with Tannu. I don't know if that's out of topic or was that in topic. Maybe.
No, I mean, Wally was Wally was a sea otter that was shot multiple times with a shotgun, and so he had a few disabilities. He was blind, and he also had his his back flippers were basically immobilized because they had been shot and then just kind of healed in like a fused position that left him unable to use them super properly.
Yes.
So yeah, he's like he would pretty much just do his own thing. There wasn't really a lot of like intentional interaction between them. So yeah, he was Tannu knew to keep her distance because he was kind of like a mean, like elderly, like get off my lawn, like old man otter.
I don't need this in my life.
Yeah. And she was she was well aware that he didn't really want to hang out. So yeah, they were fine. They were able to like live alongside of each other, but it wasn't really there wasn't really like a lot of social interaction, which is pretty normal because he was an adult male sea otter that was intact, unaltered in any way. He didn't have an implant or anything like that, so he was very much macho male. And those guys are pretty solitary out in the ocean. So good question.
Yeah, moving on.
Well, there are questions here that were all relating to Wally, and one of them is, were you involved in his care?
Yeah, I took care of Wally from. Yeah, I actually have. I have some funny pictures of the first night that he was with us at the Vancouver Aquarium. I did his night watch. And so him and I were just sitting underneath the he was still rather sick and vulnerable at this time, and so we had a heat lamp hooked up, and so him and I just sat there underneath the heat lamp, and he was like slow grooming his head. I have like some pretty cute pictures of that. But yeah, I was with Wally from when he was rescued till the end.
Oh. Oh my gosh. How old was he when he went to the otter side?
Yeah, well, it's hard to say, but we estimate that he was about 11 years old when he was rescued, which is already pretty old for and he was aside from the obvious gunshot wounds, which were a serious issue, he also had like all of his teeth were just worn down to the gums because that's what happens is they go out there and they have to eat through shells and things like that, and that's how a lot of them eventually pass away because they just the inability to eat anymore once your teeth are gone. So but of course that doesn't matter to us, so he could like gum on his clams all he wanted because we took them out of the shell for him. But yeah, I mean he so he lived with us for about 2 years, I want to say. So at about 13 years old, he fell asleep one night and he just didn't wake up the next morning. And so very peaceful. I often referred to it as his little otter retirement home.
Yeah.
And we had a great time caring for him. He was when like if you have dogs whose hind legs don't work very well and you have to like put a towel underneath their butt and carry them around, like we kind of had to do that for him. So we would have to like literally pick his butt up to get him. There's that little step that goes into finning pool, that little lip. We had to pick his butt up and shove him over the edge to get him up and out of there. And so it was a fun time. he was a good little otter.
But for all the cruelty that obviously humans had done to him, it's nice to know that his last 2 years were at least like, we're not all bad and you're going to retire very nicely. It's like, what a nice reward for that trouble.
Yeah.
Shame. Little Wally. But thank you for that answer. And it was in context. So
yeah.
I was like, wait, what happened to Wally again? I'm like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. But no, shame, man. People, stop shooting animals. My gosh. Holy Moses, there's no reason. But anyway, moving on to the next question. I'm very passionate about that, as we can see.
I see.
Well, so the next question, because we still have a few more about Wally, and the next question was about how did training him work?
Yeah. So we in the pretty much the exact same way that we have with Cinco, if you guys have seen any of my videos or anything like that, or with some of our blind harbor seals, we had a target pole that we had transformed into a rattle for him. And so he was trained to come over to the sound of the rattle. And then, just verbal cues for him. Like if you're asking for a paw, he knew, that we were going to look at his paws and stuff like that and let us touch him and do things like that. But basically, just that rattle. We kept things pretty basic with him. I mean, he was kind of a mean, a mean little otter. And we very much knew that his time with us was we were on borrowed time. So we didn't have to get too complex with things, just having him come in and out of the habitat was
Yes.
fine. And then other than that, just letting him live his like retired otter life was fine for us to have him around. Plus we didn't have very many otters at that point in time. So
Okay.
I think we only had he was our fourth one at the time. So just just keeping it pretty basic with him, and we didn't have to do too much else. But he was a special little guy. He's one of my favorites.
Oh, and I hope he obviously felt that for, yeah.
I think he felt only rage and hatred,
Yeah,
but
because
he,
I'd understand.
but he was comfortable and full of clams until the end of his days, so that's good enough.
All these people and I can't eat properly. God damn them
Yeah.
all. It's like I would, it's normally that it shows how we do our best not to emulate humans with animals, but how animals can also get pissed off if they've had a difficult life. They shame.
Yeah, well,
but,
I think he was pretty much just male otter. Like that's just what they are. And so he was typical male otter. He was like a no nonsense, hands off kind of guy.
yeah, and Tannu must have been like, oh goodness, not him again. But let's move on to the next question.
Our next question, going back to a different topic now, is can a sea otter live without their tail?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I've never seen it, but not a problem really. The tail is helpful a little bit in like sort of like the fine movements of swimming, helping just a little bit with probably balance as well in the water. But I don't really see any problem with them living without their tail. Even in the wild, I think that that's very possible. So I would guess it's a little bit kind of like when you have like the outriggers on canoes or boats that help to stabilize the boat. I think that's a little bit
Yes.
of the role that the tail is playing. So they might
like a
just
trim
have,
rudder.
be a little bit, they might just be a little bit more tippy than usual, but I think that can be compensated for. I think that they could definitely survive
Without a tail.
without their tail for sure.
And
Yeah.
we've seen Tazzy swimming in her little accordion way. She doesn't even use the tail. She just does this like weird worm thing across the water. So we know.
Yeah, they'll sometimes do that when they don't want to get their flippers or their paws wet. They'll just like use the tail as much as they can, but you can see it's not a very effective locomotive strategy. So I don't think it's crucial.
One of our users said jokingly the tail helps with fishing because they, they always have their tail in the water. Maybe it does, But yeah, we just like it because it's chunky and it looks cute. But
Yes.
question.
Our next question is have you ever encountered animals who have seizures, and
Oh.
how does caring for them work?
Yeah. Trying to think if I've ever seen it.
Must be horrifying if you did. Gee.
I've seen weird reactions to anesthesia that looks a bit like seizures, but I don't think that really counts because like true seizures are a little bit different. So I've never seen that, but I imagine that you can potentially manage these types of things. These things can be like pretty medically managed usually, but it is very tricky with animals that live in the water. Because if they're in the water when those types of things are happening,
true.
they can't necessarily control whether or not they're gonna like breathe in or things like that. Um, I mean, yeah, that's really tricky. Someone's saying Sandy at MMR, the sea lion. Yeah, she had what was likely domoic acid poisoning. So it's not like epilepsy or anything like that. That's something that will go out of the system. So, and luckily she was like on land like during these types of things, and it does eventually flush out of the system if the animal can survive long enough to do that. So yeah, that'd be very, very tricky. Like I imagine in a dolphin or something, it's just impossible to manage.
Yeah, because with the conscious
We had a
breathing.
dolphin. Yeah, we had a dolphin pass away from a stroke, and there's just nothing you can do. Like, what are you gonna do? Like they're in the
Yeah.
water. Like there's so yeah, it's that's an interesting question. I haven't really cared for any animals like that. I imagine that is a very tricky situation, depending on the type of seizure or whatever. But yeah, no, that's a very interesting question. And I haven't really seen too much of that.
Yeah, well, that just actually just made my mind drift of like, yeah, how would you actually take care of that? It's like,
Yeah.
hopefully you never find out. But some really topical questions here, folks. I'm rather engaged at how our audience is really asking the decent questions. Thank you for that, everyone. But yeah, let's move on to the next question.
Our next question is with animals who are blind, how much does their sense of smell come into play?
This is a hard question because animals that live in the ocean don't have a great sense of smell. Just because there's no reason to smell anything because they can't smell underneath
Yeah.
the ocean. So it doesn't. So they don't actually have a very good sense of smell anyway. So I think that they rely more on like hearing as well as potential feel. When you're feeling things like with your whiskers or even with your flippers and your paws and stuff like that. But smell is probably not gonna be a big one because there's you can't you can't smell your food because it lives underwater, and smelling the other animals is like not really like super useful because they just stink. Like what's the how does this help
Fish.
you? So yeah, I think regardless, smell doesn't really usually play a big factor
Yeah.
in any ocean animal's life because it's a very, very low on the list of senses that are important for them out in the ocean.
Yes. And you've mentioned that when an animal smells on the ocean, it's not actually a smell. They're not actually smelling. It's like you mentioned that about sharks, I think, in some of the things.
Well,
They
yeah, I mean those are
smelling.
different.
It's
Yeah,
like,
those are different
yeah.
different animals for sure because they are capable of sensing things through the water in a
Mm.
way that a mammal cannot. But
It's not
as far
actually
as like
sniff.
mammals go,
Yeah.
yeah, it's smell is not going to help them very much.
It's probably why the the pile of horses stink and they don't seem to mind.
Yeah.
Like just another day. But moving on.
Yeah.
Our next question. Okay, I have no idea about this, and I did not get around to actually looking it up. But there was a sea otter named Corki.
Yeah.
Someone previously heard about them, and they're asking whatever happened to Corky.
Yeah, great question. I am not entirely sure that I remember. So the reason that he was called Corky was because he had a hard time diving, if I recall, because he had like some air built up from some sort of issue or injury. And I honestly I don't remember what happened to him. So great question.
This article says he passed away.
Well, there you go. Oh yes, yes. Yeah, it looks like he didn't make it. Yeah, sunrise, death. Yeah, he had an injury, like, and he required a kidney operation.
Oh gosh.
And he unfortunately did not survive. It doesn't look like the kidney surgery. He didn't actually survive that. But they were doing blood transfusions on him and everything, because that's what we did at the aquarium. Was we actually took blood from one of our sea otters to do that transfusion for him. But unfortunately, just that's the reality of it. It unfortunately was not successful, and he did not make it. But yeah, I mean, you learn things from that, and we learned that we can do blood transfusions with sea otters. So
Yeah. It's a terrible
actually
silver
pretty
lining to think about,
interesting.
but it's a very interesting procedure.
Yeah.
Gosh, well, poor little corky. But it's unfortunately, I'm quite sure everyone's aware that in that line of work you're not going to save everything, but it's the effort that was commendable.
yeah, and like every single time you treat an animal, whether or not the animal makes it, you learn something from the
Yes.
experience, right? And so that's really nice, because then you're more likely to be able to save them the next time.
Yeah.
Right?
So Corky's passing is not in vain. Even Corky contributed in his own little way, which is that's something to consider. Silver lining,
Yeah.
but it's something that's there. Yeah, as Aaron said, I think he was an ambassador for blood transfusions. There we go. So
Yeah.
Moving
Yeah,
on
pretty
to-
cool stuff. Blood transfusions.
True. Shame. Apparently it's switched out there, but let's not watch that now. Let's move on to the next question.
So the next question was about winter. This was out of chat from last stream. And they were asking about Winter's baby.
I have no idea.
That's
There you go.
That's the shortest, best. No idea. Move on.
I don't. I'm not going to pretend to know something that I don't know. I don't know anything else. The only thing I know about the dolphin is that she's apparently very mean. Like all of her trainers say that she's just she's really, really mean.
I would also be cranky
So-
if that happened to me.
That's the only thing, literally the only thing I know about this dolphin. So so yeah.
I'm starting to see a pattern there in terms of mean animals versus unfortunately having a disability. They know who not to trust. It's
I don't think it has anything to do with that, but
It's just maybe
I
just
think
dolphin
she's
personality. See, not all dolphins are
Yeah.
kind people.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true.
By the way, just sidetrack. I saw a video of someone with a natural pet shark, and when I mean a natural pet shark, this shark would literally swim and visit this person every day for scritches and scratches. That's a thing. A wild shark visiting a human, which is not good. Disclaimer: it's not good, but it literally would visit the human every day. So, just saying that for those people watching Shark Week, we have a quickly changing subject. We have a question here from one of our chat. How do the animals you take care of heal cuts, or if they need stitches? It seems like it would be tough to heal
Oh.
when in water. Good question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And actually, quite the opposite is true. So,
Ooh, thank you.
being in salt water actually makes those cuts heal very, very quickly. They are much faster healers than we land animals are. So yeah, a lot of times we won't even do anything. We won't even we don't even do anything for it. Like Bella was recently bitten by Senor Cinco and has a pretty decent little gash on her. But it's better to just let her heal up on her own than to do anything about it. So we honestly just leave it open. It's gonna drain, and get that salt water on it, which is going to keep it nice and disinfected. And then we monitor it every single day. But yeah, it's much easier to sort of let them heal on their own rather than to like put stitches in it.
Yes.
You're just asking the animal to like mess around with it and like mess things up even more and yeah, like worry at it and stuff like that. So typically we don't really do anything unless it's like really, really definitely requires some sort of intervention. So yeah, but no, actually like the water part of it actually helps with the healing process. We also have to remember too when we're watching these types of cuts and stuff like that. A lot of times they look a lot worse than they are because you're in the water. Like everybody knows, like you nick yourself shaving in the shower and it looks like you're going to bleed out,
Yes.
but it's just the tiniest little scratch. So we sometimes we like things look way worse than they are. You give it like give it a day, come back and look the next day and go, okay, this is actually not even like that big of a deal. Like these guys are going to be fine. So there's some of that going on too. We recently just had like a couple scratches on one of our harbor seals and we're like, oh my God. But it's just because it's wet. It's not, rinse it off and it looks like totally fine. So that can happen too.
I was just about to say, do we have a sensor in the background? Because as you said, it literally went blank, like a real show.
Oh really?
Yes, that was amazingly well timed. But is that an actual thing? Because it's always been a folklore to me, apparently, that the salt water actually helps heal faster. Obviously, I know salt is an anesthetic, but does the salt water actually help them heal faster?
I mean, I don't have like data on this, but it's keeping it clean. It's keeping it rinsed and clean. Because if they're not in the water, they're lying on the on the rocks, like in their like four best friends like latest dumps that they just took like next to them. Like it's not a very sanitary condition to be just like sitting out in the baking sun, and the water helps keep the cut like nice and like malleable, like supple, like it's not gonna like get dried up and crack and stuff like that. Keeping things moist really helps. It's one of those reasons why it's actually a myth. A lot of people think that if you have a cut and you've got a bandage on it that you want to let it breathe. You don't want to do that. You want to keep the bandage on. Like it's actually better to be in a my chat's making fun of me because I said the word moist. Being in a moist environment actually helps the cuts and things like that. So and then salt water, like you said, is an antiseptic. So I mean, I don't have I haven't done the research, but just from my experience and what I've seen, it's definitely better to for animals that live in salt water.
Yes, and by the way, your chat can never work in science or in a bakery ever. Oh gosh.
My chat shouldn't be allowed to work anywhere.
Oh gosh.
My chat should all be locked up in a room together, and that's just where they have to stay for the rest of their days.
They're not allowed to speak. It's funny though. Oh, that's so funny. Got a quick question on chat. We lightly covered that early in stream, but I think this Matt might have joined us late. Have you, KP, ever seen another animal help their fellow disabled animal, like be their eyes and ears for them? I know we covered that a little bit before, but from personal experience.
What I said is that they sometimes our harbor seals, the blind ones, follow the one that can see. Like he's their seeing eye seal, but he's not doing anything. He's just going about his daily life. And it's the blind ones that are trying to take advantage of his eyeballs. So I don't see this kind of. I know everybody wants me to tell like an incredible story about the time that a harbor
Disney
seal
movie
came and rescued another harbor seal, and then they sang a song and it was beautiful. But it just doesn't really happen. I mean, the animals are looking out for themselves 100%. And so our blind seals will definitely
Take
you know,
advantage of
try
it, yeah.
to try to you know, use the senses of our other animals that can see, but yeah, it's that's not really not a thing that I have seen. I'm not gonna say that it 100% would never happen, because I think
Yeah.
everything's possible, but yeah, that's not a common occurrence for sure.
Absolutely. And if it does, it always ends up on YouTube when weird sort of animal relationships are. That's how uncommon
And
it
then
is, actually.
they're talking about how Katmai tows the other animals around, and I'm like,
Yes.
I think that's totally self-interest. Like, I think she's like, get over here. This is where the sleep goes. Like, I think it's a
Yes.
controlling thing. I don't think it has anything to do with helping them do anything.
I think
Um,
I'm
but yeah,
I'm trying to gather those clips together, by the way, people, because on my side and our Discord, we all have agreed that Katmai does feng shui, and it's just like this should not be here. So she moves, she moves around the otters to rearrange them. But yeah, I
yeah,
just got sent
yeah.
that
She's
clip
like,
earlier from her moving Taz around. It's so
yeah,
cute.
it's super funny to watch, but I
Yeah,
think it's totally
a
out
control
of
thing.
self-interest. Yeah,
You need to go here. You need to go there. Perfect.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
moving on to the next question.
Actually, we're done.
Oh my
Oh,
This is
goodness!
the
no, at 36 minutes.
quickest AMA ever.
Bing bang,
People
boom.
ask us questions, and someone said Mac would probably. I know he's a good boy. I know he's a good boy, but I don't know if you would do that entirely. Well, not if you threw Newman in the pool.
No, yeah, Mac is a one-track mind.
But if we had
He's
to go,
busy. He's busy.
I know. Just to fill up, I guess a bit of the airspaces. Pun intended on airspace, and you'll find out why. But when you were working with raptors, sorry.
Yeah.
In terms of them with disabilities, did you ever work with a raptor with any form of disability?
Yeah, almost exclusively, because at the rescue and rehab that I was working at, there were kind
Yeah.
of two sections. There was like the rehabilitation and release area, and then there was like the permanent residents who couldn't be released due to some sort of injury, so or disability. So many, you know, birds with broken wings, or a lot of them had West Nile,
Okay.
and West Nile causes like permanent brain damage.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
yeah, so or some of the birds were just imprinted, were just like raised around humans, and that was what they knew. And so yeah, I worked almost exclusively with like, I don't there was only a couple birds that were not in some way physically disabled that we had. So yeah, that's like definitely something that we would work with. They were all like non-flighted essentially, but caring for those guys, you know, making sure that they were moving around and stuff like that, dealing with potential like bumblefoot issues and stuff like that too, was a big concern, because you know, birds fly and move around, and that's how they stop themselves from
Yes.
getting those like sores on their feet. But our birds were not as capable of doing things like that, so making sure they had lots of different perching options and stuff like that. But yeah, many rescued birds.
And the survivability on like a disabled bird versus like, I know you like you'd rescue seals and things like that, and they can pretty operate being even blind and anything like that. But is that sort of the same survivability for a looked after bird the same? Because I've had birds, and those things seem to flop when the wind blows when they get ill or injured. It's
Yeah, birds are very delicate animals. Like even strong smells can kill a bird.
what? Oh, canaries. Well,
Yeah,
we've seen.
large fluctuations in temperature can kill a bird. So they are a very fragile sort of species. But depending on the injury, I mean, birds without, you know, without operational wings are still very capable of surviving. But obviously you have to help them out. You have to feed
Yeah.
them and stuff like that. Well, we also had, you know, some birds with like lead poisoning.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
that's pretty awful. So, you know, if you are a hunter, don't use lead bullets, please. And or like, you know, poisoning of rats and things like that. People
Yes.
poison their, you know, pests around their places, and then the birds eat them. So yeah, I mean, they once you pull through a certain time period, like obviously the very beginning is a very critical time for a lot of these animals. But once you pull through like that sort of time period, you can usually feel pretty good about the bird's chances. But yeah, birds in general are just like, you
Super
should always be
fragile.
afraid that you're gonna kill your bird, because it's you know,
Yes.
there's just like anything
So
you do
delicate,
could
their
like
bones are
potentially
hollow
be
and
bad for,
everything.
yeah. But
Someone
yeah.
is. Oh, my chat's now filling up with questions. Thank you. KP, have you ever met Donnelly the mum seal who's blind, or ever seen?
Hamburger eyes. No, I haven't met her yet.
She has a name. Hamburger eyes.
in my chat we call her hamburger
Oh
eyes
my
because
gosh.
because her eyes are a little bit messed up. But,
That escalated
but-
quickly.
yeah, we have a really sick sense of humor. But no, I haven't met her, but I'm sure that I will, because she's going to be a non-releasable animal. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she fits in with our, you know, we basically have a blind pool now, of just seals and sea lions who can't see, and they just coexist together. So yeah, no, it'll be interesting.
There's a dark side of me that just wants to stand on top of the pool and take a shot every time they bump into something. Shame. But they'll probably do better than us. It's like, dun, dun. It's like a whole.
No, they definitely do. I mean, animals in general, guys, like they don't see themselves as something less than what they were. Like they don't
just
have this
adapt.
type of brain. Yeah, so they literally just accept what has happened, and they just move on with their lives. And so, you know, I mean, like it's pretty cool to watch that animals don't really consider themselves disabled in any way.
We have a request here to see your ferrets on my chat. Normally,
I
folks,
can see if I can summon one.
if you need
Usually
to see,
if I
yes, if
usually
you
if I
got
do
that.
this-
If you want to see otters or the mini otters in future, all you need to do is just claim the points on KP's Twitch, and you will see a ferret on command. But some people asking us, it's sort of a joint question, is can you tell us a little bit about the relationship between Tannu, Alpha, and Milo? And did Tannu raise Katmai?
Really? No, not really. We raised Katmai.
Yes.
She was at the Alaska Sea Life Center for like 9 months or something. It was quite a long time, if I recall.
Wow.
Before she was quite old when she moved back home when she moved back home. When she moved home with us. But yeah, Tannu and Milo, and even going further back, Nyack was the Exxon Valdez sea otter.
Yes.
She was so Nyack is kind of the original like paw holder. Oh, I think I hear a ferret. Did you catch
heard
on
the packet.
what we're doing here?
That'll be so cool that happened. Like, treats!
I thought I heard it. Oh yeah, there's definitely somebody's coming. Hold on. Hello.
We have a ferret, everyone. Mini otter about to be retrieved.
Oh, I can see him. Mackie, come here. You dingus. It's actually not the fat one.
Oh, it's not official.
But that's why he's not like racing over here, because he's just like, I don't really care all that much. Hold on. Let me just go grab it.
We're
Sir.
now waiting for otters.
Sir.
By the way, can we all just pay attention on the screen to the fact that we have a walrus riding a seal, and the seal looks like it's gunning it through the air. There we go.
Yeah, no, Mackie actually came. I was surprised. Usually it's Fisher. Fisher must be asleep upstairs.
Yeah,
Would you like a treat, sir?
napping from the treats. Look, I'm going to rest now.
He's not supposed to get Fisher. But I was going to make an exception. Okay.
So you're
Here you
saying You were saying that Nyack was the original
yeah,
hand
so
holder.
Nyack was kind of the original
rafter.
paw holder, and she kind of taught those skills to Tannu, who, you know, then passed them on to Katmai. Elfin was kind of always like more like on the outskirts of things. He wasn't part of that gang as much, and he never was interested in the paw holding situation. Milo passed away. Milo had cancer, and I'm trying to remember what kind. Oh, it was lymphoma. He had lymphoma.
Oh no.
And so he was treated for lymphoma, but unfortunately, at the stage that we discovered it, it was very
Too late.
advanced. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, he didn't live for very long. But yeah, he was born in an aquarium in Portugal, in Lisbon, Portugal.
In the Portugal, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they were like, at least the way that I remember them is being a lot more laid back than our current otters. It's hard to say because it has been a while, especially since Milo's been gone for almost a decade. But definitely definitely seemed like a little bit more laid back. But of course they were older individuals, so that definitely plays a role in that.
It's like you've got a pool full of millennials. Sorry.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, I mean that's yeah, that's what I know about those guys, and I think that's where Katmai gets her hand holding, and it looks like she's doing a pretty good job of passing on the knowledge, the secret of the paw hold, to all of her,
especially to Tassie recently. Good God.
Yeah, I know. Who's like
Tassie's
super
like,
into
just
it.
I wanna hold you. Oh, can't sing, demonetized.
I feel like once they figure it out, they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We should do it all the time.
Which seems to be what Tassie's doing. It's like, everyone grab my paw. This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's living up to a reputation. We can round it off to a question here, because this actually follows on from the Nico, is that in terms, and the birds, what are the chances of survivals with oiled birds?
Yeah, we one of our very first AMAs was about oil spills, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. So not very high. So oiled birds are really like very fragile animals. And this is part of my problem with when people will say like, oh, you can use Dawn dish soap to bathe your animals in. Please never do this. I know that they use Dawn, and that's true, but because it kills all grease. Like it literally just obliterates any kind of oils. And there are there's obviously bad oils, like the oils from an oil spill, but then there's also good oils that are a part of your body. And the washing process for the birds in an oil spill takes an enormous amount of time. They will wash a bird for they have like a time limit. They like the birds get like 10 minutes, and then they have to go and rest for a full day before doing another round of washing the birds. Yeah, they're so sensitive. So yeah, it's not great. It's not very likely that a bird will survive. They are also like not quite as good as like mammals at making proper heat. So the heat loss from having like the oils on their body is like extreme. So yeah, there's just there's a lot of things going up against animals that have been involved in an oil spill. And birds certainly are there's fumes associated with these oils a lot of the time too, so you have to keep the animals in like extremely well ventilated rooms, because like I said, even just like a strong smell can kill a bird.
Which is crazy.
So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're very sensitive. Birds are.
It sounds like it. Okay. Last question, and this is unrelated, but it will be our last question for today, is our chat. Thank you very much to our chat, first of all, for filling up the space. But where is it? How are you going to manage with 8 otters? I think there's a general question for everyone.
Damn it. Here's my.
Yeah. It's the face. Like, there's your answer right there. Like,
Yeah, I'm not super stoked about it. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll just do what we can, like we always do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely won't be easy. We are hiring some trainers, so
Oh, okay.
hopefully that will help. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a juggling act for sure. And they're definitely gonna have to entertain themselves because we're not gonna have time to do it for them.
Yes.
So
Has there ever been another facility that you know of? Maybe I'll Google it. That have had this many otters in one point. But talking about the rescue side of things, not like people that are breeding otters for entertainment reasons. But is this
oh
something
well, I
that's
don't know
common?
that anyone's really like breeding otters. I as far as I know, this is the most otters that anybody's ever had ever in the world. It's pretty,
What a way to make
it's
a
pretty
record.
pretty next level. Yeah,
Yes.
it's yeah, and certainly not the largest sea otter habitats that anyone's ever had in the world. So it's definitely not ideal.
Yes.
But we'll make the best of a weird situation.
Meanwhile, the 4 to 5 little otters in Monterey Bay, like, we got so much space here. There's even fish in our aquarium. It's like,
I know.
you need to.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But I
Brutal.
commend everyone. I think everyone should respect how difficult that must be, and how the otters are still happy living in their little apartments. Obviously, they don't know any different, but it's an amazing
Yeah.
feat.
Well, what's nice
And-
about it is that they do have, one thing that is nice about having that many animals is that the social structure is
Yes.
like, you look at the animals at Monterey Bay, and yes, they have a banging exhibit that's so lovely, and things are always changing with
But
what
always
toys
the
they have
same
and stuff
people
like that.
hanging out with
But
them.
it's
Yeah.
always the same animals.
Yes.
So there
jeez,
is something that's a little different about that.
Yes.
Our otters are constantly changing social structure that keeps them on their toes.
Yes.
And so that's what's nice about it. But yeah, we could definitely use with like a little more space, and maybe like 4 or less otters would be great.
And we can definitely see that on stream, the way they interact with each other, and they're always doing something entertaining with the clipping every day. Every day they're
Yeah.
doing something. It's like, so they're definitely getting the right sort of stimulation. Maybe there's some science in there. It's like, in order for them
Definitely.
to have an intelligent mind, get as many as you can, split them up into 2 different pools, and wait to see.
No,
what
yeah, I
happens.
mean, I think that there's definitely science that like goes behind the fact that the size of the exhibit is not necessarily the biggest factor in
Yes,
making sure that
absolutely.
an animal is happy and healthy. There's definitely science behind that. So yeah, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
No, but thank you so much. There are some questions here that maybe you guys want to pop over if you're streaming after this, KP, to pop over into that stream. It's about facilities and things like that. But pop over to KP stream when we're done here. Tessa, if you could drop a link for us, please. We've got Twitch Mom and YouTube Mom here looking after my side. And yeah, jump over to that side and watch the stream. And thank you for the follow, whoever just followed me. Thank you. I can't see because the text is over it. Well placed, Jason. Oh, Angel. Thank you, Angel. But thank you so much, KP, and thank you, Raya, for being here. Shame, Raya's like, we ran out of questions.
I know she went and took a nap.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
been
like,
like you.
I'm gonna
the
make a
classic
sandwich.
JJ and KP just go off on
Yeah.
6 different tangents and chat for half an hour.
Hey, but thank you.
Oh, I've just been watching video clips on YouTube.
Of your coral and that.
looking for stuff to post.
But thank you, Raya, for joining us again
All right.
and filling us with your Carstels accent. Which is the compliment. I will maintain it. I'm not doing it, but it was a compliment. But thank you so much for joining us again. And thank you, KP. And yeah, everyone, pop over to KP stream and continue to ask questions on that side. Have some fun. I'll be there momentarily as well. And we shall see you all soon again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, friends.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes. So, guys, just another thing. Oh, just the yellow part now you see on the screen. On my side, if you're still on this side, we are doing the Nitro competition. We're sort of formulating it. But basically the idea of what we're going to be doing, and you have to join on Discord. you have to join on Discord, is we will be making animal riddles, and all of you will get the opportunity to figure out what the animal is. And the nice thing about this is that it's not something we're going to be finding on the internet to make the riddles, so you can't even Google the riddles. We will be constructing riddles, and you will have to guess which animals they are. So we're still developing the system. It's a competition we're running at the moment. It's just a way to say thank you. If you get a month's worth of Nitro, you can't boost the server with it, so this isn't a way for us to get the server boosted as well. You can't actually boost a server with a gift Nitro. It's just a nice way to give back to you guys for supporting us, and that you guys can actually enjoy the server and see the perks that come with Nitro, emojis, big files that you can upload, and a lot of nice features I'll give to you. So if you join the Discord server, you don't have to stick around, but keep an eye out for those questions. I'll be posting them on YouTube as well, and you can then go answer it on Discord. So hopefully you guys can participate. Just another way to interact with you, give you something back, keep you entertained, and thank you again for joining us, and thank you for all the support. And we will see you on Wednesday. Another stream from my side. It's going to be my turn. And then on Thursday, back to Tiny Tube.